Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Stephen Mantis here, and I'm getting ready to call a fantastic, classic Great North Wrestling match between Hannibal, the Death Dealer, and his tag team partner for tonight, Abdullah the Butcher, the WWE Hall of Famer, and they are going to be taking on Dangerous Dan, who is a legendary Quebec wrestler, former CPW champion, and the Hickster, who's about 380 pounds, just a monster of flesh, 6'6" or so. But Dan and the Hickster are going to have their work cut out for them tonight against Hannibal and Abdullah the Butcher. Of course, Hannibal and Abdullah have been a tag team before several times in the past. This match was actually Abdullah the Butcher's last match he ever wrestled in his career in Canada. This, of course, is a no DQ match. The referee doing a very poor job here right from the beginning. Getting into a little bit with Hannibal as we see an attempted lockup by the Hickster. Hannibal takes him down. Front face lock now by Hannibal. Squeezing the grease out of him, the fan says at ringside, and it looks like that's exactly what Hannibal is doing. We see a modified submission attempt here. Face of Hickster turning blue, and there's some big forearm smashes by Hannibal to the Hickster. Hannibal has no love lost tonight for these two. There's a lot of trash talking going into this match as you see Hannibal working away on the Hickster. I don't know if he wants to go for the submission here, if he's just punishing him. Gator roll there by Hannibal. We're seeing some amateur wrestling here, which is very unusual for a Abdullah the Butcher match. Hickster has his foot on the rope. Hannibal's going to have to break the hold. Hickster, who can barely stand right now, appears to be dazed from that headlock. Now tagging in Wild Dangerous Dan, whose glory days may be behind him here. The crowd getting pumped up. Test of strength here. Hannibal and Dan. Hannibal is clearly the more powerful of the two, but Dan has a lot of girth on him. I believe he weighed in at about 325 on this particular night, but he is on his knees right now on the ground as Hannibal just cranking on the wrists of Dan. Dan trying to make his way back up. Hannibal still fighting it off. Hannibal turns it into an arm throw. More amateur wrestling here. He now has Dangerous Dan in a side headlock. Pinfall attempt here. Hannibal actually pulls Dangerous Dan's shoulders off the mat. Lets Dangerous Dan go. He doesn't want the match to end. He could have ended the match right there, but he's saying tag back in the Hickster. The Hickster seems almost hesitant to get in the ring right now. Neither of these men want a piece of Hannibal, and Abdullah the Butcher hasn't even gotten in the ring yet. The crowd heavily behind Hannibal here tonight as he circles the Hickster once more, charges the Hickster, pushes him into the corner where Abdullah the Butcher is. The referee making a count here. Now Abdullah has a hold of the Hickster. Dangerous Dan is behind with some salt. He threw some salt in the eyes of Hannibal. Of course, this is a no DQ match, so the referee did not call that. And I believe Abdullah the Butcher just hit the Hickster with something, and Dan now has a pair of scissors. This match is getting way out of hand. Yes, Abdullah the Butcher appears to have forked the Hickster. He's split wide open, and Dan's going after Abdullah with some scissors. Abdullah is not cut open. Hannibal is blinded there. There's another fork to the head of the Hickster, and the crowd's loving it. Abdullah the Butcher, of course, this was his last match ever in Canada. You could see he was having a hard time getting around at this point. Abdullah the Butcher had a lot of very serious medical issues. He probably should have retired probably 15 to 20 years earlier, but he kept going as we see a massive chair shot by Hannibal to the Hickster, and a huge grin on the face of Hannibal. And there's a home run hit right there to Dan. Follows it up with a second chair shot right to the head. And a third, and Dan's actually running away now. He's getting kicked and just beat on by Hannibal. Hannibal's just making short work of the opponents tonight. The referee's got knocked out somehow. Dan attempting to block Hannibal. Hannibal's got that chair again. What's he doing with the chair? Hannibal smashing the Hickster with the chair. He's trying to send a message to all of his future opponents here tonight. Hannibal is a force to be reckoned with, and the crowd going absolutely wild now. Abdullah the Butcher heading to the back of the arena. Hannibal now biting the Hickster. Running boot to the Hickster now. He's just a bloody mess. At some point the referee's going to have to call this match. I think Dan and the Hickster have had enough here. The crowd getting absolutely wild now as Hannibal picks the Hickster up, rolling him back in the ring. Abdullah the Butcher has Dan at the back of the arena. This match has gotten way out of hand. It was a no DQ match. Now Abdullah the Butcher has the scissors that Dan tried to use on Abdullah earlier, and Abdullah has busted Dan wide open with the scissors. No, it's a fork. Abdullah has that trademark fork and is going after Dan with the fork. Dan's certainly not looking so dangerous right now, as Abdullah having his way with him to the delight of the fans. You see the media presence here tonight. This was Abdullah the Butcher's last match ever in Canada. A very historic match. The referee's on the wrong side of the glass here. This was a no DQ match, but absolutely horrible officiating tonight. What's going on in the ring? Let's get our cameras back to the ring. This could be the Nightmare right here. Hannibal setting up for his finishing move. The Nightmare, can he get... He got the Hickster up. That's 380 pounds up in the air. We got a second official. 1, 2, and a 3 count. Hannibal and Abdullah the Butcher finalize their tag team undefeated streak here. They are victorious. GreatNorthWrestling.ca has all the details. Follow us on Facebook, Great North Wrestling, Twitter @GNW Wrestling.